This is Mr. Wilson. He's a lifelong resident of Macon. He graduated high school. He was in the Navy for 8 years. He recently was released from the hospital. He has 3 kids and he has a place to live and not a correction scene. He's never been in trouble with the law. This is his first arrest. And we ask that you set a reasonable bond.
Certified police officer?
First thing is 6 with drug crimes and 7 with the hospital.
Okay.
Your Honor, the facts of this case are quite disturbing. On May 2nd of this year, a temporary protective order was granted protecting the victim, or one of the victims here, from the defendant. Now, 10 days later, at approximately 1:05 in the morning, the victim, the defendant's ex-girlfriend, and a friend of hers were out, and they were getting into their car when the defendant evidently walked up to them brandishing a pistol, saying that it was time for them to go ahead and talk. The victims...
This wasn't at the hospital where I just missed.
This was not.
Is this a service revolver?
I'm not aware. To be very honest with you, I'm not aware. But the victims got in the vehicle and were fleeing because they were afraid of getting shot when the defendant here followed them, driving down Napier Avenue, unloading his firearm into their vehicle. He shot several shots, and then when that failed, he began ramming the vehicle until they went off-road and both vehicles were inoperable. At that time, the report indicates that the defendant got out of the vehicle, grabbed his ex-girlfriend, one of the victims, and dragged her at gunpoint behind the building, put her on her knees, told her, "I have nothing else to lose, and I'm going to kill you." At that time, because of the collision and all of the craziness that was going on down Napier, a police officer pulled up and the defendant fled. Warrants were
foot,
filed.
right?
I'm sorry?
Fled on foot.
Yes, Your Honor. Warrants were filed, and then 2 days later, the defendant was asleep in her bed at home and heard a knock on the door.
The victim was asleep in her bed?
Yes.
Okay.
My apologies.
That's okay.
The victim was asleep at her residence, and the defendant knocked on the door and was trying to get her to open up the door. She called the police.
Was there an outstanding warrant at the time?
There was.
Okay.
The victim also stated that when she left her residence, all the air had been drained out of her tires. The state's issue with giving this individual a bond, Your Honor, is that the state feels he won't stop. The public safety issue of firing a pistol at a moving vehicle and then causing a collision just for the mere fact to kidnap and possibly kill an individual, and then having a cooling down period and coming back and committing yet another crime indicates to us that this person is untrustworthy. And we're afraid he'll reoffend, that he will be a danger to the community, to the victim. And speaking to the victim,
I was going to ask you about the victim.
she is very affected by this, as you can imagine. She fears for her life, as does the other victim, the non-related party here.
Witness, so.
Please, absolutely.
Since I spoke with her, I'm going to tell you. As soon as I told the victim who I was and what I was calling about, I always, say I'm calling the DA's office and calling about Pontiac. Her voice immediately changed from, she was scared out of her mind. Her voice was audibly shaking. She said that she's absolutely terrified of the defendant. And she actually told me, "I'm shaking on the phone right now as you talking to me," which I could definitely tell. Of course, she started crying. She strongly opposed, and she begged me for not to let him out. And I also spoke with the male who was involved in this case as far as victims are concerned.
That's who she was with, that even with the defendant.
And of course, he's also strongly opposed, with him strongly opposed, and he said that he is terrified for her life because he he has no doubt that you'll come out and kill her.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Mr. Crawford?
As stated, this was his wife, that they recently
So not a girlfriend, but,
not,
okay.
this is his wife that, they recently divorced and separated in January. And, as far as the threat to the community, I just would like to urge and remind the court that this is a man that actually served our nation for 8 years and protected our community for a number of years from 2001 till present. And again, we asked the court to set a bond, a reasonable bond for him, so he can get out and work on his case.
When was he arrested? May 14th, okay.
That was the date of the second occurrence. The first, driving on the road, loading the pistol was on the 12th. He came to the victim's home on the 14th,
Okay.
and that was, he was arrested for 4 counts of aggravated assault, 2 counts of aggravated stalking, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, kidnapping, and violation of the oath of a police officer.
Anything further? Mr. Crawford, I understand your arguments, and Mr. Wilson, I understand the service that you've given to your community prior to this, but this offense is atrocious. I can't imagine what the people on the street who may have seen this as they drove by and kept going, or what these victims could have felt. But based upon the authority that I have under OCGA 1706-1, I find that you pose a significant risk of threat or danger to 2 particular people and perhaps someone within the community. And I can't find any way that I could structure a bond at this time to assure the safety of those persons. So at this time, I'm going to deny the request to set a bond. Perhaps if the DA's office doesn't move with swiftness in resolving the case, there will come a time where we must set a bond. But this is a significant detour for what you've done your whole life, and such that we have to be mindful of the people who were involved. And so at this time, I'll have to deny the request for bond. Thank you.
Your Honor, next will be Ronnie Chatfield.